will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
And for dictators across the world, democracy is the greatest revenge.
They made history. Welcome to Discover Dynasty, and today we're taking a look at 10 influential political leaders. Their lives shaped the world, and their deaths saddened it. Abraham Lincoln.
Democracy isn't chaos, that there is a great invisible strength in a people's union.
Arguably one of the most important presidents in United States history, Lincoln's leadership during a time of great turmoil in the country's history helped mold the nation. He took office the year the U.S. Civil War began and was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth the year it ended. It seems as if he was predestined to shepherd America through a bloody war. His own death, a cruel reminder of the price of such a conflict.
That no president in history has been more vilified or was more vilified during the time he was president than Lincoln.
But even though his life was cut short, abolishing slavery and maintaining the Union are amazing accomplishments.
It is a great honor to be here. The place where Lincoln served was inaugurated, and where the nation he saved bid him a last farewell.
The country never learned what he could do as a president in peacetime, but if it compared to his achievements in war, the world truly lost out.
To do all which may achieve and cherish a just and a lasting peace among ourselves and with all nations.
Mahatma Gandhi, India.
I regard myself as a soldier, though a soldier of peace.
Gandhi observed much racial discrimination while working as a lawyer in South Africa. This inspired him to lead his fellow Indians in non-violent campaigns and protests to improve their rights and freedoms when he was the head of the Indian National Congress in the early 1920s.
Whatever the result of the mission that brought me to London, I know that I shall carry with me the pleasantest memories of my stay.
While it took several decades, India's independence from Britain was eventually achieved due to Gandhi's efforts and determination.
A pillar of flame and smoke, and a last farewell to Mahatma Gandhi.
Kim Il-sung, North Korea. Kim had only been North Korea's premier for a few years when the first statues of him appeared. In 1950, the great leader led the invasion of South Korea, which resulted in over 1 million deaths within 3 years. While he tried to help North Korea's economy, the communist leader also established a strong military presence, prison camps, and the use of executions during his rule. His autocratic government helped pave the way for his future presidency. Nelson Mandela, South Africa.
One of the things that is difficult for me to comprehend is that we spent such a long time here.
Following 27 years in jail for his anti-apartheid views, Mandela was finally released in 1990.
As South African, this is the time for us to speak of what is best for the future of our country.
He then helped end apartheid in South Africa as president of the African National Congress. And, thanks to the country's first democratic and multiracial elections, he eventually became the first black South African president.
Which will not allow that any should be denied their freedom, as we were. That any should be turned into refugees, as we were. That any should be condemned to go hungry, as we were. That any should be stripped of their human dignity, as we were.
While he focused on rebuilding the economy, uniting citizens, and investigating human rights abuses, he also brought his country onto the world stage. Martin Luther King Jr.
As the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation.
Arguably one of the most charismatic figures in the history of America, King's ability to lead people of all ages, creeds, and colors in the fight against bigotry changed the complexion of the world today.
All we say to America is be true to what you said on paper.
The non-violent stance he championed held him apart from peers like Malcolm X and lent him the moral high ground. Murdered before his work was complete by James Earl Ray, his fight was picked up by the millions of people he inspired. His words live in the hearts and minds of open-minded people who hear them to this day.
Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of press. Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest far right.
Mao Tse-Tsung, China. As founder of the People's Republic of China, Chairman Mao planned to modernize his one-party socialist state and nationalize its industries through the Great Leap Forward. When that failed, he launched the Cultural Revolution, hoping to reinforce his power, spread communism, and remove dissidents. While his health deteriorated in the 70s, the period marked the transition between Mao's China and the China of today, which continues to experience massive economic growth. Fidel Castro, Cuba. With Castro as prime minister, the 60s saw Cuba become a socialist state and build ties with the Soviet Union. After the American-funded Bay of Pigs invasion failed, Castro strengthened his Marxist-Leninist beliefs and communist policies, which spurred the next year's Cuban Missile Crisis. Despite his regime's repression of the opposition, its anti-imperialism and revolutionary action, Castro also helped increase Cuba's global influence. With Cuban fighters, the revolutionary movement will be able to count in any corner of the world. Che Guevara.
Sepamos serlo también en la producción. Sepamos ser trabajadores de patria o muerte.
Many people today may recognize him from those Rage Against the Machine t-shirts or that movie they didn't see, but Che's impact on Cuba cannot be measured. Disgusted by the hunger and disease he saw in South America, he came to see the United States as the enemy. Alongside Raúl and Fidel Castro, he led a movement to overthrow Cuban dictator Fulgencio Batista through guerrilla tactics. Once their bid for power succeeded, he held many positions in the new government, leaving Cuba in 1965 to aid other guerrilla movements out to quash imperialism. Che was captured and executed by CIA, backed Bolivian forces in 1967. John F. Kennedy.
For our nation is commissioned by history.
President for less than 3 years, JFK held the reins of power in America during some of the most important years in its history. His expert handling of the Cuban Missile Crisis staved off all-out nuclear war.
All ships of any kind bound for Cuba, from whatever nation or port, will, if found to contain cargoes of offensive weapons, be turned back.
He championed and promoted the space race, which has given humanity a far greater understanding of the universe. An extraordinary speaker, his address in Berlin and his inaugural speech inspired audiences across the country and around the globe.
And I can assure all of you here who have reposed this confidence in me that I will be worthy of your trust. We will carry the fight to the people in the fall, and we shall win.
The world was shocked when he was taken far too young by an assassin's bullet, and the controversy over his assassination continues to this day.
I take pride in the words, Ich bin ein Berliner.
Benazir, Bhutto, Pakistan.
I chose to give up a life of luxury and privilege for a life of hardship. I chose a life of trial and tribulation in Pakistan's political minefield because I had a dream to change society, and for that I gave up everything.
In the tumultuous landscape of Pakistani politics, one name stands out, a name that embodies strength, resilience, and a relentless pursuit of justice. Benazir Bhutto. The 11th Prime Minister of Pakistan, Benazir Bhutto was a woman who held no illusions. She knew the politically active life she led could very well lead to her demise, but she eagerly embraced her choice.
Well, it was a duty for me 20 years ago, but now it's my passion. I feel my country's very existence is at stake, and I don't want my children or the children of Pakistan ending up as refugees. It's a passion for me to save my country. I feel it's something I must do, and I hope that with the support of the people of Pakistan, I can do it.
A key figure in the history of Pakistan and a symbol of female empowerment the world over, Bhutto was assassinated in 2007. The Iron Lady of Pakistan, as she was known, will not soon be forgotten.
There was no revenge for them and for dictators across the world. Democracy is the greatest revenge.
Do you agree with our list? Which political figure do you think was more influential? Be sure to subscribe to discover Dynasty.